Tunisia has announced an interim national unity government days after a popular revolt ousted the president from power in the first Middle East revolution in a generation. In a dramatic turn of events, President Zine El Abidine Ben Ali fled Tunisia Friday after a month of unprecedented protests gripped the country. Thousands took to the streets to demonstrate against unemployment, high food prices, corruption, and government repression. At least 80 people were killed in a crackdown by government security forces. As the protests spread to the capital, Tunis, Ben Ali fled the country and sought refuge in Saudi Arabia. He'd been in office for 23 years and was only Tunisia's second president since independence from France in 1956. On Monday, the Tunisian Prime Minister, Mohamed Ghannouchi, announced that members of opposition parties will take up places in the government for the first time. But key figures of the old guard, including the former defense, foreign, interior, and finance ministers, will keep their key posts in the new government. Up to 1,000 protesters took to the streets today in protest and called on all members of the Ben Ali government to be excluded in the new coalition. In a news conference on Monday, Ghannouchi announced the unity government would begin the transformation of Tunisia's political system.
تتعهد الحكومة بفتح الحوار مع كافة مكونات المجتمع المدني والسياسي وتمكينه من حرية التعبير والنشاط.
The government pledges to open a dialogue with all elements of civil and political society and to allow free expression and activity. It also pledges to accelerate efforts to restore tranquility to all Tunisians and to work for restoration of security as soon as possible. It also undertakes to concentrate efforts to move development forward, create jobs, and improve life conditions everywhere.
I'm turning it on. Ghannouchi said elections would be held within 60 days, controlled by an independent election commission and monitored by international observers. The Prime Minister also said a ban on the activities of human rights groups in Tunisia will be lifted and that all political prisoners would be freed. The new government also created a commission to investigate corruption amidst reports that President Ben Ali's wife had spirited away 1.5 tons of gold out of the country last month. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon said Monday he is encouraged by developments in Tunisia and called for the establishment of the rule of law.
While I feel encouraged by the ongoing dialogue between the caretaker government and the large array of political parties and civil society organizations, I remain extremely concerned about the continued violence and resulting loss of lives and property. I urge all concerned parties to ensure an immediate end to the violence. And this is a moment for the Tunisian people to strengthen the country's long-standing culture of political moderation and its attachment to peace. I call on the government and all stakeholders to ensure a prompt restoration of the rule of law and to respect and accommodate the aspirations of the people.
The protests that led to the overthrow of President Ben Ali gained momentum in December after Mohamed Bouazizi, a 26-year-old unemployed university graduate, set himself on fire after police seized his grocery cart, saying he was selling without a permit. He died in early January and quickly became a martyr to the unemployed protesting against poor living conditions. The self-immolation has led to apparent copycat protests in other North African states, with 4 men setting themselves on fire in Algeria, 1 each in Egypt and Mauritania. We'll start today by going to Tunis to speak with Faris Mabrouk, a Tunisian activist who has just returned to Tunisia after about a week or a few days in Paris on Sunday. We welcome you to Democracy Now! For viewers and listeners around the world who are trying to get information, if you could just lay the groundwork. How did this revolution take place? How did this overthrow happen, Faris?
Okay. Thank you, Amy. Yes, so first of this began by the suicide of Mohamed Bouazizi, and then hundreds and thousands of Tunisians put their family, their life, their jobs in standby and joined this movement. And the internet and Facebook and Twitter played a major role in spreading the information and organizing the revolution, because now it's a revolution, it's not a revolt.
And explain about this self-immolation. The man who set himself on fire was a university graduate. Explain the significance of this as he was trying to sell fruit, the only job he could get in the market.
Yeah. Mohammed Bouazizi is a real symbol, because this is a man who, to which the society asked him to study. So he completed his study. Then he tried to work, and he didn't find a job. And then when he didn't find a job, he was humiliated by the local government. So he went and he claimed. And when he claimed, he was again and once again humiliated by the governor of Sidi Bouzid. So he killed himself. He didn't kill himself in a bus. He didn't do anything, I mean, wrong to others. He just killed himself. And so this has created enormous emotion among the Tunisian population, because Mohammed Bouazizi was just asking for dignity. And the symbol is very strong, very powerful, and he became really the symbol of this revolution. People are asking for recovering their dignity. And the interesting part is that in all the slogans we hear in Tunis until today, there is no slogan related to religion, there is no slogan related to specific party or specific political party or movements. The slogans are all about dignity. The dignity to speak, to express ourselves, and to decide, to contribute in the decision on our future.
Now, can you explain what happened? When I spoke to you, Faris Mabrouk, on Friday, you had just gone to Paris to represent Tunisians in France, thinking this possibly would take much longer than it actually took. Can you explain the course of events, how quickly the president left? Not quick in the long term, he's been there for 23 years, but quick in terms of the level of protest, and then who took over from there?
Yeah, so what happened is the president made 3 speeches, and in each one of the 3 speeches, he and his administration did not address the problem and did not respond to this to Tunisians. So after his last message, the demonstration and the riots continued. So he just left the country. He left the country and letting this country in the chaos. Now, I mean, one very important message here I want to say is this is really a very important revolution, not only for Tunisia, but also for the Arab world and also for the world. Because what we are trying today is to restore, to address the question of democracy. Is democracy possible in the Arab world? And Tunisians from all around Tunisia are saying, yes, we want to decide our future and we want to contribute to and we want to influence, to impact our future by our vote.
So Ghannouchi took over, the prime minister, but then handed it over to the Speaker of the House, is that right? Because of outcry in the streets.
Yes, so first of all, the Prime Minister announced that the President has left, and according to the Constitution, he would just stay Prime Minister, but with the authority of the President. And when the vacancy of the President function was determined or recognized by the government, the Speaker of the Congress became the President and should announce in the next days that election will be organized within 60 days, according to the Constitution.
And what about the latest protest today of about 1,000 people? And we should add that a prison was set on fire, and scores of the prisoners died in that fire. I believe that was on Friday. What about what is being proposed now, this unity government?
Yeah. You know, the problem we have today is that we need to restore the credibility, the legitimacy of the state. And to restore the legitimacy of the state, we need the junction between the legitimate forces, the army, and a legitimate political government. Now, people are still claiming that there is too many people from the former government or from the former party in the government, in the present government. This is normal because they are the only one who know how who know the system and how to manage it. So today what's happening is that if we say that the revolution will be made in three stages, the first one would be to deposit Ben Ali, the second one is to restore the order, and the third one is rebuilding the country. I would say that we are still between the first and the second stage. We did not complete it yet, the depose of Ben Ali as a president. In order to complete this first stage, Tunisians want and need to judge Ben Ali Roman case. We don't want a Ceausescu case. We need to respond to the demand for justice against Ben Ali and his family by the law. And Amy, the way we will manage these cases, the way we will contain our emotion will determine the foundation of our legal system. Mm-hmm. So today, we definitely need to have Ben Ali extradited to Tunisia. And the US could play a major role in that, because putting pressure on Saudi in order to extradite Ben Ali and his family in Tunisia. But also international organizations as Transparency International